lines. And some you can draw on top of stuff. Sometimes we'll do that to just maybe draw some generic on a pattern or on a surface. And then these tools, the rectangle, it will just draw a rectangle. And down here in the corner, it'll give you the dimensions of it, which you could type in, or
Would you
just
type one in? So.
yeah, just like
Is it in inches or feet?
I don't know how yours is set up. Mine's set up in inches. If you just
I think
type
it's
like
inches.
6x6, yeah, it'll give you a 6" by 6" rectangle. Or if you just take the rectangle tool, you can just draw whatever. And with the select tool, you can select anything. This one here, it's also the space bar. So you can select the individual, you can select the plane, you can select the individual lines, or you can select the whole thing. And so here, these other tools, that's a rectangle. Same thing as with a circle. Same thing with the, what do they call this?
Polygon?
Polygon tool, yeah. Arc will give you, I'm sorry. And so, yeah, here's the arc tool. Let's keep going with the measurement tool. So these ones here are just drawing tools. The line, the rectangle, the arc, the hexagon, the circle. And then these are just different arc tools. There's different ways to either set it from the radius or set it from the edge and draw arcs of different sizes. And so these tools kind of here are more three-dimensional. Like this is the push-pull tool, where you can start pushing and pulling things like Wade was kind of doing. It takes a surface and it pulls it. And again, you can hold shift.
You can take a line too.
Yeah. You can shift, and then once you hold shift, you can start snapping to other things. We'll use it a lot if you want to align with stuff. It moves a lot quicker. And you can also, what else? The follow me tool is where you can, let's say we draw a circle. Something that I do a lot that's kind of quick and easy is, if you want to snap to a specific plane, again, you can hold shift. So like you can see it's red, or here it's green, or there it's blue. So I'm going to shift, hold the red circle, and now I've locked in that, and now I can draw it relative to that line. And now I can use the follow me tool. It usually takes a shape, and it'll follow a line. Maybe it won't do it for that straight line. So I'm going to do that. Take a circle, draw it, and then the follow me tool will follow it. We use this for like handrails and stuff. Sometimes the handrail goes up, down, over, across, and you can just make a circle, make a square, and have it follow you.
You basically give it a path.
Yeah, you select a path.
Can you do that one more time and like zoom it in so that when we make this, it's easy for people to follow that?
Sure. Yeah, sorry, I know I'm getting a little fast. So the follow me tool, like I said, it'll take a shape and basically follow it along a path. So, like I said, we'll do that for handrails a lot. So I'll make a line that goes over, and over. Oops. Make a circle. And again, I'm going to use this rectangle to keep it in that plane. So the follow me tool, you usually have to select the shape first and then follow the line. And it'll follow it. Sometimes you can do it for circles, you can do it for a lot of shapes. And so it'll make those for you. And this is the offset tool. If you draw like a rectangle or circle or anything, the offset tool basically follows your lines. It can go out, it can go in, and it basically traces the perimeter. Like if you want to make, an example of this would be like, if you wanted to make
It's like a window.
a window. So I'll just do it in here. So that's what we'll use it for a lot. So if you want to make a window, and also it'll snap to the center of spaces also. Hold shift to keep it in line, hold shift to keep it in line. Offset tool, so now we're in here, it'll offset there, it'll offset there, it'll offset there, like that. And then, we can give it some, give it a thickness when we start messing with these things. And now it looks more like a window. So these tools here are measurement and dimensioning tools. The tape measure is pretty straightforward. It'll measure, give you a dimension, 2'9" and 1/8. This thing, it's a protractor, it'll measure angles. And again, you can hold the shift to put it in a specific plane if you want. And it'll measure that. This is the dimensioning tool. It obviously just will take a couple points and actually label a dimension for you with a dimension string. This is kind of more construction document stuff that kind of Wade was alluding to. This is a tag. We don't really. This is three-dimensional text. And axes, you can add more axes. You know, you have your main XYZ axes, but if you have something inside of something, and maybe it's tilted at an angle, you can add a new axis to it, and then work within there to maintain those same XYZ axis within that component. And so, again, here the hand, the zoom tool. These are tools that you can kind of zoom in, zoom out. These are the ones I showed you in the weights thing. The look around tool is just to look around. You can set your eye height. We'll do that if you have a, like if this is your big ground plane, you can stand on there. So you're set at about 5'6", which is, you know, a normal person height, and you can look around. The walking tool is to just walk around. We use this a lot when we're showing spaces. So you can stand in a spot, look around, and then you can walk around. So that's kind of basic stuff, and so these are camera views that can get you the side.
Hey Jake, with that walk around and view the eyeball one,
Uh-huh.
Can you record that movement also? And
Yeah.
Like, so if you're like, hey, here's our space, look at this, and then have like a video created with that?
So there's a couple of different ways to do that. So, where's it at? Tools window. Where's it at?
I would suggest this too. I see people using their track bars or their pads. Everybody in architecture uses a mouse. It may seem old-fashioned, but you can control it a lot easier.
It's a lot better.
You'll be fighting with that constantly.
Yeah.
If you're going to use it much, get a mouse.
Are you
So
struggling with zooming in and out?
Yeah, it's a real.
yeah,
pain.
yeah,
It just doesn't
yeah,
work.
it wants to, yeah. And so there's kind of two ways to do what you were talking about. We can add scenes where we'll do this a lot. You can drop a person in there, look around, add a scene, and then drop another person in there, look around, add a scene, and then you can go back to them. So we'll do this a lot. We'll set up specific views of a building you want to see, and then we can just walk through it. It's a lot easier than the walkthrough tool. I forget what that's at. We don't use it that much because it consumes a lot of computer power to try to walk through a space, and it gets really bad. We've tried it in presentations. We'll have a group of people we're trying to present something to, and then it's like, and it's going real slow, and it doesn't look good. So instead of that, we use scenes because you can just hop to the focal points that you want to
Basically,
show.
just a series of shots, different viewpoint shots, right?
Yeah. And so,
Let's talk about layers too at some point too.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
just
okay,
a
so
layer.
I'll open these windows. So all of your windows here, if you look, they got layers. This is something that that we use a lot. You can add layers, and this is something it's in Photoshop, it's in SketchUp, it's in AutoCAD. Layers are a way for you to assign things and then be able to control their visibility and stuff globally. So sometimes we'll have one that's, I don't know, like, oops. We'll do stuff where we, one's people, one's, vegetation or something like that. One's cars, one's maybe the envelope. And then in your window, you can go to Entity Info. And if you select something, whoops, where did it go? Entity Info here. That's one that layers. Entity Info is usually
Basically, the layers are like a file folder.
paintbrush.
You don't want to take all your papers from school and dump it in one folder and you can't find it. So it's a way to assign things to particular layers so you can find out. People are always in a people layer, so you can turn it off and on
Yeah.
easily and find things. Otherwise, it's a mess.
Yeah, so like here's a guy, and it'll give you, the entity info will tell you maybe what the name is, what layer it's on, and you can assign it to a layer. People layer, and then you can shut off the people layer, or you can assign it a specific color, and it'll show up that way. So some of the more, I guess, advanced stuff that we use when we're trying to, I guess these are just tips that I know of that we've learned in a while, is so there's also what are the components. So components, these are you can download these off the internet. They have components for everything. I mean, you can type up, I don't know, what's,
Raised garden bed.
what'd you say?
A raised garden bed.
Raised garden bed?
Raised.
Raised garden, that
We
makes a
have
little
to
more
translate
sense.
him all.
Raised garden bed. Oh, we're not connected to the internet. So, raised garden, I mean, there's built, by now, everybody has a SketchUp models and everything. You can look up buildings, like Iowa State's campus, they built a SketchUp model for it. You can look around. I was going to type in Hancock building. People, benches, yeah, here, cars. You can see here's the stuff that we have. Couch, derrick. So this is the kind of stuff that you can download and throw in there. It's kind of saves time. You can upload your own for free. And so when you're making your own stuff, you can make your own components. And an important aspect of SketchUp is that things stick to each other. So if you grab this line and move it, you see how it's moving everything else? When you move things, it'll move everything around it. So a trick that we use, you right click, you can either make it a component. A component is something that'll go in your component list. And I'll just make one. So you make a component, we'll just call it box. So now you have a box component. So if you go to components, so you can go to the home thing is in model. So if you click that, these are the components we have in the model. So there's the box that we just made, and you can drop a new one. And the thing about a component is if you change it, it changes all of them.
Basically, you're creating an item. So
Yeah.
that box is made up of lines and planes, right? So like you said, if you touch any part of it and you move it, it deforms it. What a component does is it groups them together into a thing, and the whole thing moves around.
Yeah.
The nice thing about it is if you copy it, you only have to change one of those things, and they all update.
Yep.
Which is the real power of things like this. So you don't have to change it 25 times, you change it
Yeah.
once.
So like you could make a window component, realize, we gotta tweak this, and it'll fix
Yeah.
every window in the whole place.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so and you can also make groups. So if you want a component, you can make it unique, and it'll detach it from all the rest of the components. Or you can make something, like we can take this thing, it will make it a group. A group just takes all the planes and turns it into a single group, like he's saying, but it's not a component. If you change it, you can copy it, but it's a individual component that even if you copy it,
It's separate from the other ones.
Gotcha.
yep. And so, like this is just like I was kind of alluding to before, all of the tools have a basic function, and then they also kind of have a sub function to them. So like the move tool. Move tool just moves something around. You hit control and it automatically copies it. And so every tool kind of has and if you look those up, I haven't looked it up, but if you go to YouTube, I bet you can look it up. Look up Google SketchUp tutorials, and it does this. It'll show you. When I first learned this, I just took a piece of paper and wrote down all the commands, and that's how I learned. They just had a little video, like I said, it was like 30 seconds long, maybe a minute for each one of these tools, and they walk you through what I'm talking about. Like the move tool, they'll explain how it works, and then they'll say push control to multiply it, or press alt to expand it. So those were really helpful when I was learning SketchUp. I think it keeps trying to connect to the server. So, and like,
I would suggest you make good practice of doing things like creating layers and organizing your information.
yeah. So
I didn't learn it that way. I just had to learn it like super fast to get something done, and I'm not in the habit of doing that. It's bad practice.
Yeah, so so if we're gonna make something, I'll make like the ground plane, and then I'll immediately make it a group. That way nothing's sticking to it, nothing's gonna affect it. And if I wanna make a building, the thing that some people get hung up in SketchUp is something that we kind of talked about last time we got together, is that things have thicknesses to it. You can paint things, but they all have a thickness to it. A house isn't 4 planes, it's 4 walls. So you'd make a wall that has a thickness to it. So there's one wall, and I would make a group of it, not a component, because they're going to be different. And you can move, control copy it, put it on the green axis, shift, move, and then you see the little plus sign next to the move tool. So you can move it. Q is the shorthand. It's this.
Are you able to make just one of those longer than the other, or will it make all of them longer?
It's a group, so changing one of them just changes that one. If I made it a
Okay.
component, it would change all of them. And so there's tricks that, like, Q is the rotate tool. So hold it on the blue axis, and now I can select a corner, turn it, you can type in 90, it'll move at 90. Move it, grab the corner, and usually it'll snap to corners and lines. And so the scale tool is really important. Scale is this one here. Scale tool will scale it, it'll zoom it in basically every direction. And this is what I'll do a lot, it's kind of a way of cheating. So if I want to make this wall match that one, I can snap to that, grab the middle, and I can snap to that, move, control, and then now we have 4 walls. And a roof.
You know, there's another way to do that. You just create a box,
Uh-huh.
and then you do your offset tool on the outside, and you just offset it in.
Oh, sure, yeah,
a few
yeah,
inches.
doesn't, yeah,
So
like he said.
usually, like in any software program, there's multiple ways to kind of do things.
Yeah, I tend to do this because they're individual walls. If you got to move some spaces, you can take your whole wall, move it. And what he was saying is another way to do that is you could make your box, if you know what the box is, use your offset tool, and then pull the walls up, and then you could snap to the top. Now we have a box that's about the same height, same size. The roof, and the best thing about SketchUp is you just draw in 3-dimensional space. So we're just going to make a roof. I can draw a line, hold shift to keep it in the red, and then I would just draw, hold it on the blue, and I see if you pull, and see, because there's a line there, you know, it's going to pull this, and I can pull it in either direction. As soon as I erase that line, now it's one triangle, and I can pull it, and now you can kind of see we have this kind of doghouse looking thing. And so this still just has I didn't make it a group or a component, so it just has these surfaces that are still malleable. And so clicking something once just clicks the plane of it. Double clicking it will click the whole, or select the whole plane. And so you could select this whole thing, make it a component, we'll name it roof. Move it, copy it over here, and again, if you have to double click to get in there, and now you can edit it, and see if I pull it, it's changing that one too. So I could right click it, make it unique, now it's not attached, and now I can do whatever I want with this one. And if I copy this one, it's still, now those two are a component. And so you can do anything in here, you know, people use it to design a lot of things. I don't know, you guys have any, I just flew through that stuff, but if you guys have any questions on
Yeah, are there any specific
anything?
questions that you guys have been working on that you're stumped at, like with Camp Courageous
Yeah.
or whatever other project you guys are working on?
Yeah, so I'm doing the pond project out here, and I don't know
Okay.
how to get it to like drop down because there's like the parking lot and then another layer and then like the actual pond
Try to get
itself.
it below grade.
Yeah.
Like elevation or?
Yeah. I can't get it to like actually put in like
So, well, I guess,
More direct question for
Mhm.
you, but
Probably have to do that answer.
so there's,
so I'm working on the Camp Courageous nature design, and we are doing.
I'm trying to think, so,
We have this here. I can do like what?
Yeah,
Yes, I
how
don't
do
know.
you can do, can't you do, drape something over a topography and get it to undulate somehow?
That's what I
yeah,
was
you
wondering.
can,
So I have. The
I've
picture.
seen them.
it's this here, The,
Problem is it doesn't have any information on it.
Right.
Yeah, and then
To-
so I uploaded a geolocation that is.
Yeah, GIS.
Yeah, and then.
because I just took it
below.
below the axis. That's
But-
what I did.
I have a
Yeah.
drone and
Yeah.
software and
That's
like a
okay.
GoPro. Do you know of anything
So-
about that or how to do it?
I don't. Sorry, we just don't use it
oh, you just
enough.
moved the whole thing?
Yeah, I just
What do
moved
you
everything
advise us
just-
doing
and
with,
leveled
like,
it down a little
having
bit,
our,
but the dimensions are
landscape on,
off,
like,
so
a
it makes
curve and
it
stuff like
offset
that?
weird.
Design it how it is and then just put it in there? Or what do you think?
Advise you in terms of what exactly, how to
Like,
create the,
So,
How to
I
create it
think I should
effectively
show
with
you.
this, with like the landscape being so curved.
Here, just something I should show everybody is,
are you asking me how to physically create the topography or what to design with the
How-
topography that's gonna?
Yeah. How we should
Right, I'll
like
show you.
go
This is
about it
something
when we
more.
don't have a precise topography, but we have.
Well,
Yeah.
if you can find out, I mean, in that case, you're probably gonna have to go old school and use pens and paper to a certain degree, because you can find the information to say, here's how the site slopes. And you can't approximate it on that, you may just have to figure out your design a little bit the fashion way, and then just create it as best you can on the site. There's gotta be a YouTube video somewhere. I mean, we go to YouTube all the time to figure out.
Yeah. So,
Um,
yeah, I guess I'm not
video,
sure.
if you can't figure something out,
What you
you
got
go in there and say, how to create a topo surface,
Cause like when I went to go show
SketchUp. I bet
the
there's something.
bank
See,
owners, they're like, this
import
isn't exactly like what's down there. I'm like, well, I can't quite.
I just don't, we have stuff done, so I can't, I really can't help you in that.
So what is it you want?
On
What
a
is it
side
you
note,
want?
do you know
Not
just
this
how to
thing?
upload the
What do
image
you
No,
want?
I want
over
like,
the topography?
so this is offset from
Yeah,
the
you-
pond. So
well, you
like
basically
actually
import
out there,
a
like the
picture,
actual pond and the retaining wall go right up next to each other. But I can't get them to like be at the right level because it
You mean-
slopes down so much.
You want this thing to move up?
Yeah,
They're 100 feet apart.
Or you want,
he make the
No.
what do you mean? So this thing's
Okay,
down
so
here, you want it up here or?
No, like that, I can move this wherever I really want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My issue is though, is that there's stuff right here.
Oh, sure.
There's
So you said
like
like
you need
grass
terrain.
and stuff and terrain. And so then when I go to like show them the pond and the angles
Oh,
and
there's no
stuff,
grass, yeah.
there's
Yeah, man,
nothing for them to like, it's hard for them to like imagine just like this block as the pond and that sort of thing.
Maybe I should.
And when I went into the warehouse to try and find like something that's similar to it, I couldn't find anything either.
So you're saying you need the ground, you need the terrain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna have to make that yourself.
Alrighty.
One way I would do that is, here, I'll show you up
And
here.
then take this and do what with it?
So,
Thanks.
You have to go, there should be a command somewhere that says import picture.
Because I freehanded the pond to
So-
get the actual pond to go in.